Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 10th episode of the Neon Crew podcast. My name is Kyle, and Mac is not here. He is probably at home watching some movie, or I don't know what he's doing, taking care of like dogs or, whatever, donating to charities, because he's that type of guy. For this next episode, we were going to discuss Spider-Man and Matrix Resurrections, along with the film pick that was my film pick, The Thing from 1982. But unfortunately, because of COVID and everything going on, we were not able to get together for this. And the location that we can record in is pretty stationary, and Mac doesn't have any way to record from his house. So here we are. Here I am, I should say. It's just me. And I hope that you don't mind that it's just me, because I'm going to do my best here. I'm going to try my best to talk for however long it will take before I'm satisfied that this can be a full episode. And I figured what I would do, at least to start off, is to at least go over upcoming movies for 2022, especially since it's the beginning of the year. Happy New Year, by the way, everybody that is listening. You wouldn't know that I said Happy New Year if you weren't listening. So I guess that just kind of nullifies everything that I just said. But nonetheless, the sentiment is still there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up 2022 movies, and I'm just going to kind of touch on almost each one of them, maybe all of them, and kind of give my thoughts on what I think about the movie coming out, what I think it's going to be, if it's going to be good or bad. And just kind of go from there. I'm sort of winging it this episode. It's kind of an impromptu solo thing. And hopefully you don't get sick of just my voice. I know that usually there's a little bit of variety in having both me and Mac on here, but it's just me. So either you're welcome or I'm very sorry. But we're just going to get through this. And I'm going to click on this website, denofgeek.com, that says upcoming movies to watch in 2022. So we're going to go from there. And sucks that there's like no pictures associated with the titles that they list. So I'm just going to go back. Let's try the ringer.com, the 19 biggest movies of the year. Well, that's pretty bold, seeing as how the year hasn't happened yet. Okay. The Batman, we're going to start with that one, with R-Pat, directed by Matt Reeves, I think. He did the new Planet of the Apes movies, which I really enjoyed the second one. First one was kind of, just a standard movie. Third one was a little disappointing, but I don't know. That was just my point of view, I guess. The Batman. So this is DC's, I guess, or I should say Warner Brothers' attempt at kind of redoing the Batman story after the Snyderverse kind of happened and came and went and fell apart or whatever. I think that a lot of the reasons that people are hyped for this movie is because Robert Pattinson is in it, and he's sort of pretty much established himself as a good actor even after the Twilight movies came out. He's proven to be capable of taking on roles that are very different, very nuanced, very creative and imaginative, and he puts pretty much everything he has into the performances that he gives. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not the biggest Batman fan. I know some people are like head over heels crazy for Batman. He's like their favorite superhero or whatever. But I am moderately excited for it, mostly for Robert Pattinson. And a lot of people are excited because it's a Batman story. So that's good for them. I'm curious to see Paul Dano as the Riddler. They've done a good job as far as marketing goes of like not showing what he looks like, not showing the character design yet. And I don't know if they're ever going to do that before the movie comes out. Hopefully they don't. So that will be exciting to see. He'll probably get the shit kicked out of him again, like he usually does in almost every movie that he's in. I always think of that scene from There Will Be Blood where Daniel Day-Lewis is just slapping the shit out of him in the oil field, and he's just getting covered in mud and dirt and grime, and he's just getting his face shoved in. It's a pretty good scene, but that movie as a whole is really good. All right, next up is The Northman. This is Robert Eggers' next movie. The two that he made before were The Witch and The Lighthouse. The Witch is a very good horror movie. The Lighthouse is one of my favorite A24 movies. I think I had it at number 2 on my list, which is episode 4 of this podcast. So if you're curious as to our A24 movie standings, you can check that out. You can find out where our opinions lie as far as our viewpoints for A24. But nevertheless, we will get back to the task at hand, which is talking about upcoming movies. The Northman says it's releasing April 8th. I watched the trailer for this when it came out, so at this time, probably like a week ago, maybe a little more than that. And I thought the trailer was okay. Like, it just was kind of edited together as sort of like this standard trailer. I thought that it could have been done a little bit better, but I don't know. That's just from the trailer standpoint. I'm sure the movie is going to be good because Robert Eggers puts so much detail and passion into the movies that he makes and puts a lot of like his own sort of voice in there, which his voice is funny dialects that we won't understand what the characters are saying. So I'm really looking forward to the movie regardless of how the trailer is. But I don't know. Some people have seen the trailer and they really like it. Me personally, I think it's just kind of average. But I am still really looking forward to this one. I think that, I'm a sucker for revenge stories. Some of my favorite movies are John Wick, The Revenant. Old Boy has become a new favorite of mine this past year because I rewatched that. And of course, I'm talking about the 2003 South Korean Old Boy, the original Old Boy, not the Josh Brolin hack job that they did 10 years later with Spike Lee. Thanks for that. But, if we didn't have that, we wouldn't appreciate the original Old Boy for being as good of a movie as it is. So thank you. Thank you, Spike Lee, for giving us the opposing view of what a good movie is. Thank you for making us appreciate Old Boy even more. Turning Red. I'm going to look that up because I don't know what that is. 2022 film. Fantasy comedy. Oh, I know this one. It looks like a Disney animated movie. I haven't seen much for this. I've seen very few glimpses of like the posters and stuff, and it's like this red panda that is giant in like a classroom that's like taking up the entire room in the poster. And the title is Turning Red, and the tagline is Growing Up as a Beast. And it looks pretty much like a Disney movie. I mean, Disney usually makes pretty quality stuff, albeit maybe forgettable stuff for like the past few years, with a few exceptions. I've heard Encanto is pretty good, so I guess I'll have to watch that eventually. Everybody's talking about it. It's reached the point where it's got like a meme status now, and I feel like whenever a movie has that, it's either really good or really bad. And I feel like it's kind of leaning towards like being the good side. So we'll find that out for sure. All right, next one. Thor: Love and Thunder. So this one is also going to be directed by Taika Waititi, which he did Thor Ragnarok, and Ragnarok is my favorite Marvel movie from the MCU for sure, without a doubt, 100%. I had such a fun time watching that movie, and I thought it was a breath of fresh air, I guess you could say, from a lot of what Marvel was putting out, which was kind of like the standard, like, oh, it's an origin story, and we have to establish this new character, but the main villain is the evil version of him, kind of like Doctor Strange or Black Panther or whatever else was coming out, Captain Marvel, I guess, kind of fits in there, but I really didn't care for that much anyway. But this one is going to be interesting because Natalie Portman's coming back, even though her character was kind of brushed aside for much of the universe after Thor 2 came out, because, nobody liked Thor 2. It's kind of like the weakest MCU movie for a while until Eternals came out, and then, that kind of took the shit poopy throne. Eternals was bad. I just will say right now. But this one has got her back, and they must have gave her a lot of money to be in it. Or she just felt like, hey, I just want to be back in the MCU again. It was probably mostly the money. And Christian Bale is supposed to be the villain in this. So that's kind of interesting. He's like one of the best actors of this generation. He's one of those actors that you wouldn't ever picture being in the MCU. It's kind of like when Jake Gyllenhaal was like, yeah, I'm going to be the villain in Spider-Man Far From Home. And everybody was like, what? But you're like an actor. And this is kind of like that same sort of case. I'm very curious as to what he's going to be like. And I don't really know who he's supposed to play. I'm sure it's out there, but I don't want to look it up right now. But I'm assuming it's going to be one of those things where like he's the villain and he's only going to be in it for this movie. So it will probably be the only one he's in. I don't think he's going to be in any more of them. And if he is, cool. I just don't picture that happening. We'll see how much weight he gains for whatever role he's playing. I enjoyed the meme of the implication that Christian Bale gained like 40,000 pounds to play this sandworm in Dune. That was very amusing. Next one, another superhero movie. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Of course, a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, which is really good, really well done animated Spider-Man movie. And the animation in it, I am confident is going to be gorgeous like it was in the first movie. I need to rewatch the first movie because I only saw it once, and it was a couple years ago when it came out. So I think it's worth revisiting, I'm sure. And I'm just really curious from like a story standpoint where it's going to go, because it seems like they're going to continue with the multiverse aspect of everything. And maybe those characters that were in the first one will come back, like Spider-Pig and Spider-Noir or Noir Spider-Man, whatever his name is. Nicolas Cage, basically what I'm trying to get at. So that will be intriguing, to say the least. Another superhero movie, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I'm actually going to look up info on this one because I'm super curious as to like what exactly they're going for. Chadwick Boseman dying, I feel like really put a wrench in their plans. Obviously, when an actor dies, you can't really control that, but he was definitely going to be a big part of this continuing universe that Marvel was establishing. And without him, I don't know what they're going to do. Okay, so Lupita. Okay, so is she the main character now? Former lover and more. Okay, so it's going to focus on his like girlfriend or something. Hold on, this is what Wikipedia says. Other main cast members from the first film were confirmed to return by that November, and the title was announced in May 2021. Plans for the film changed in August 2020 when Black Panther star Chadwick Boseman died from colon cancer, with Marvel choosing not to recast his role of T'Challa. So obviously they're not going to replace him. That would be in really poor taste. And they're probably just going to make his girlfriend or his sister or whatever the main character. So that'll be kind of interesting. Martin Freeman's coming back. Interesting. I'm very curious as to what they're going to do with the story and whether or not it's going to be good. Because Black Panther, the original, that one wasn't that exciting for me. Like, it was kind of just a standard average Marvel movie, but people were hyping it up to be this huge like groundbreaking thing. And I get the appeal of it, but people were treating it as if it was like the next Godfather, and I don't really see that at all. It's just it's just a superhero movie. And I will say the end fight scene in that movie, no spoilers for Black Panther, but when two characters are falling and fighting each other, it straight up looks like a PS3 game. I'm dead serious. It looks so bad. In that like little train world that they're in, man. Yeah. Next movie. What do we got? Jurassic World Dominion. Thought the second Jurassic Park movie was not good. I don't know what they were thinking with taking the concept of dinosaurs and like making it into like a straight horror movie. It taking place in like this weird mansion where this auction is going off and people are like buying dinosaurs for like weirdly lower prices than they probably should. I mean, $60 million for a dinosaur. I feel like they'd go for a little more than that, but I don't know. I'm not super wealthy. I don't know the dinosaur market as well as I should. I'll have to consult a dinosaur expert. What are they called? Paleontologists? Yeah, I'll have to ask a paleontologist how much a dinosaur today would be worth if it were alive. I'm sure that wouldn't be a waste of their time at all. I'm sure that they would love to take time out of their busy day to talk to me about the worth of current living dinosaurs. Anyway, Jurassic World. I think, I'm going to see it eventually. Whenever it comes out, whatever happens with it, I'm definitely probably going to see it. Definitely, probably, maybe. But no, it's more than likely that I will watch it, and I'm sure it's going to be a big CGI blockbuster, whatever. It's going to have dinosaurs and loud noises and people getting eaten, but it's PG-13, so you can't really show people getting eaten that much. Only sparingly, so as to keep that rating, so that as many people can see it as possible. But whether or not it's going to be good, I don't know. Usually, trilogy of movies, if the first two aren't great, then it's very unlikely that the third will be. But you never know. Maybe Colin Trevorrow suited up and put his thinking cap on and managed to scrape together a Oscar-worthy whatever kind of deal. I don't know. Chris Pratt's going to be in it. He's going to be Chris Pratt. He's going to save the day. That's just how it is. Maybe he'll like sacrifice himself or something. I don't know. That's my prediction. Official prediction for Jurassic World 3 is that at the end, Chris Pratt will sacrifice himself. But it's going to be like a fake sacrifice in himself because they can't actually have him die because that would make things too risky. So to like close off the franchise like that. So they're going to like bring him back at the end. But that's official prediction for Jurassic World 3. Jurassic World Dominion. Good Lord. The the Mario movie that is coming out in December of this year. It's weird saying December of this year because it was just December of last year. And it just makes me feel so groggy. I'm so tired. But anyway, Mario. This movie was largely sort of passive in the minds of the general populace until they announced the Mario cast, which Mac and I talk about in, I think, the second episode. So if you want to hear our reactions to that, check that out. It's pretty great. But essentially, the whole cast of the movie is just one giant meme. Like, Mario's being played by Chris Pratt, Bowser's Jack Black, Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong. Like, come on. It's nobody was talking about the Mario movie until they announced who was in it. And honestly, it's pretty good marketing from that point. I think that people are really gonna go see this movie because of like the cast in it, and obviously Mario is a big IP in itself, so people were gonna go see it anyway. But the fact that it's Illumination who has been pumping out all these different animated movies that make so much money at the box office, no matter what quality they are, and the fact that they have this meme of a cast in it, people are gonna go see this. And depending on where COVID is at in 11 months from now, the numbers will definitely show that it will be successful. I'm definitely going to go see it. Me personally, me being a huge Mario fan growing up, I think that it's quite interesting that Nintendo went with Illumination. But I guess Nintendo, being a Japanese-based company, wouldn't really know the reputation of an American studio, an American animation studio in the States, that being the guys that are known for making the Minions movies. So I'm really hoping that this movie is good too, because people are saying whether or not it's going to be good or bad, they're going to enjoy it one way or another. And I'm sure I'll enjoy a decent amount of it. That just comes naturally with being a Mario fan, as long as, they don't completely demolish it. But I think that there's a risk of it becoming just sort of this schlocky kind of minion-y, like, oh, they're going to make the Goombas the minions or whatever, and they're going to have them like fart, and they're going to have them say like banana and all this bullshit. There's always that risk, and it's something to be aware of. I think we'll definitely get a feel for how it's going to be whenever the trailer comes, which I'm guessing will be this summer. This summer, coming on YouTube, the Mario movie trailer. Yeah, brother. Okay, I'm done with that. Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore. I'm gonna level with you guys right now. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be 100%. I did not watch the first Fantastic Beasts movie. I know. Burn me at the stake. Cut my feet off. Feed my children to the hyenas out in the field. However the saying goes, whatever. I am not huge into like the Harry Potter universe, really. Like, I've seen all the HP movies, and I generally like most of them. Obviously there are some big stinkers in there, like Chamber of Secrets and Goblet of Fire, but I ironically enjoy Goblet of Fire because it's like the part in the movies when every character becomes emo and their hair is super long and everybody's really moody for like no good reason. Like, okay, I'm gonna go on a rant here for a little bit. There's a scene in the movie where like Ron is mad at Harry because Harry was picked for the Goblet of Fire, even though Harry didn't put his name in, because as somebody who wasn't 18, he couldn't put his name in, because that would be kind of fucked if you put a 13-year-old kid's name in this basically game where you can die in, almost. Like, pretty much in every game there's like the risk of dying, and they make sure that you are 18 when you like put your name in, 18 or 17 or however old. Certainly not 13. So anyway, and I'm kind of like spoiling Goblet of Fire for people, but I don't give a shit at this point. So Harry gets his name drawn, even though he didn't put his name in. And Dumbledore's like, "Did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?" Dumbledore said calmly. And Harry's like, "What? No, I didn't put my name in. I don't know where that came from." And so then Ron's like, "Well, bloody hell, Harry, your name got called. You could at least told me you put your name in." And Harry's like, "But I didn't put my name in." And Ron's like, "Well, but." And so he's like pissed off at Harry for like no good reason, right? So there's that. And then there's another scene that comes after, like pretty shortly after, where Harry's in like the lounge room or whatever. He's like in the hangout area for House Gryffindor, all by himself, like late at night. No one else is there. And he goes to the fire, and Sirius Black shows up in the fire to talk to Harry, to like ask him like, "Hey, I heard you put your name in the Goblet of Fire." And Harry's like, "I didn't put my name in the Goblet of Fire." And Sirius Black is like, "Well, you better get to the bottom of it if you can." And then at the end of that conversation, when Sirius like flutters away, Ron just walks in and he rightly asks Harry, like, hey, who are you bloody talking to? And Harry was like, none of your damn business, Ron, shove off. And Ron was like, what the fuck, mate? I was just asking who you're talking to. And for like no good reason, right? Because Harry totally could have just told him that it was Sirius Black. Ron knows who Sirius Black is. Like, he was there for the third movie. He knows like his whole deal. He knows that Sirius was innocent of the crimes that he was accused of. Like, why would you hide that from Ron, who you're already on like tense grounds with, right? You just pissed him off for like no reason even more. It's so fucking stupid. Anyway, Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore. So like I said, I didn't watch the first one. I know, I'm sorry. I'm such a huge dick. I apologize, right? But here's the thing. I watched the second one. I went and I saw the second one with some friends because they were like, oh, we want to go see the second Fantastic Beasts movie. And I was like, oh, bloody hell, I'll just go along then. I was really just along as a friend, you know, just kind of hanging out with them, watching a movie. I didn't really care what movie it was. This was at the time when I didn't really pay too much attention to movies, but, you know, that's a story for another day. But anyway, went and saw Fantastic Beasts 2, and even though I did not see the first movie, I could pretty much like pick up what the general gist of it was. You know, what's his name? Grindelwald's evil dude. And he's like locked up, but then he escapes at the beginning of the movie. This isn't a spoiler. It literally happens in like the first 5 minutes. So then he escapes, and then they've got to find out like where he went and like how to stop him. And that's the whole thing of the movie. So I was pretty easily able to like pick up on stuff. Obviously there's like some character history that I was a little lost on, but it's not like it took me the whole movie to figure out the character dynamic between people. Like the funny American muggle dude who's there just for shits and giggles. Haha. Hey, I'm the American guy in this movie with all these British people. Hoi, hoi, hoi. So I watched it, and I could just tell that it just wasn't good. Like, and my friends commenting on the fact that it wasn't good really, you know, helped sort of cement the feelings that I already had watching it. Because to me, it just felt like it was really this kind of like filler thing. I don't know. Like, it was just, it's hard to describe, especially when you haven't watched the first movie. Like me, right? I know. Shame on me. Woe is me. Feed my kids to the hyenas in the field. Whatever. As the saying goes. But I can still recognize when a movie is good or not, I feel like. And that movie just wasn't good. It just wasn't. And I don't know how, like, the characters felt like they weren't consistent. Like, especially with, what's her face? What's Jeannie? Or, like, what the fuck is her name? I'm not going to look it up because I don't care to. But it's essentially like the American guy's, like, girlfriend. She, like, F's off for, like, no reason. She was like, so, yeah, there's my reasons. Oh, my God. So, yeah, Secrets of Dumbledore. Will I see it? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe. I really don't care to. The only thing that makes it look good is Mads Mikkelsen. But that's because Mads Mikkelsen is pretty much great in everything he's in, right? He's the man. He's the Mads. The Mads Mikkelsen, son. Excuse me. All right, next movie. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. The trailer for this came out, and it was the end credits scene for Spider-Man No Way Home. This movie is directed by Sam Raimi, which is probably the most interesting thing about this movie. The 2016 Doctor Strange that came out was not very unique in any regard. It was just kind of like the standard Hollywood superhero comic book origin story for the character of Doctor Strange. And it kind of felt like an obligation, like, oh, we have to have this movie take place so that we can establish who Doctor Strange is, because Doctor Strange plays an important role in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. So we have to established this character as a staple in the Marvel universe. And it's not like I hated Doctor Strange as a movie. It's just it wasn't anything special, really. Like, obviously, the only scene that really sticks out to me as being somewhat unique and interesting is the Dormammu I've come to bargain scene, which, you know, saying it by itself isn't really a spoiler, but if you've seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. And essentially, it's it just, I don't know. Like, Doctor Strange as a character is better in movies that he's not the star of. It's kind of like Black Panther in the way, because Chadwick Boseman in Civil War and Infinity War were really good. Like, he was great in those movies. He was like a strong, established character. He had like a good dynamic with the other characters, and he really, like, especially in Civil War, he kind of came into his own, and it established that motivation for him to make the choices that he did in Civil War. Whereas, like, his own movie, he just was like, hey, he's the hero, and that's it. That's his personality trait. He's the hero, and that's what you get. Oh, he's headstrong and he's stubborn? Yep, that's him. Hey, guess what? That's like every superhero ever. But anyway, this new Doctor Strange movie, I feel like it's going to be a cut above the first one, at least, because you got Sam Raimi, who's back at directing a superhero movie. You know, he hasn't directed one since Spider-Man 3, and we all know how Spider-Man 3 went. You know, find us some shade, hot legs. And essentially, the trailer made it kind of look like a horror movie at some points, especially and this is in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, but at the end when Doctor Strange sees like the evil version of himself, which a lot of people are speculating is Strange Supreme from the What If series on Disney Plus. When he comes up, it really like kind of has that sort of horror style that Sam Raimi is known for, because, you know, Sam Raimi directed the Evil Dead movies. And excuse me, I'm very curious as to what this movie is going to be like, especially post No Way Home. I'm not going to spoil that movie, because heaven knows you've already been spoiled for it, probably. I mean, it's hard to avoid spoilers for that specific movie on the internet if you're on it in any capacity. See it as soon as you can if you haven't been spoiled for it, because you're damn lucky, and I don't know how you've gone this far without going as much as seeing a glimpse of a spoiler. But anyway, Doctor Strange. Very curious as to see what Sam Raimi does for it. I'm hoping that it like retains his style and sort of stays true to like his sort of signature movie making process, if that makes sense. You know, keeps it his own character, kind of like how they did for Taika Waititi when he made Thor Ragnarok. So there's that. Yes, I will now move on. Uncharted, not super interested in. I never played the games. I think it's gonna not be good. They've got, and not even playing the games, I know that people are upset about the fact that Mark Wahlberg playing Sully doesn't have a mustache, which is weird because he like made a weird tweet or something, or like an Instagram post as the character where he has a mustache, and it just, I don't know. Like, why would you? There's certain creative choices that people make for movies, and they just don't make any sense. They just don't. Like, going back to Harry Potter, I'm going to rant about Harry Potter for a little bit, right? Again, spoiler alert. Not really a spoiler, but, you know, spoiler alert that I'm going to rant about Harry Potter. Harry and Ginny's relationship is so unconvincing. They have, like, almost no chemistry at all. And, when they are together towards the end of the series of films, it's like there's nothing there. I don't know. Like, the scenes that they have together are like few and far between. And when they are together, it's like this weird, jilted, stilted sort of wooden thing that nobody wants to talk about. And I don't know. I feel like their relationship is kind of not as chemistry laden as it should be. And you can make the argument like, they're just kids. They're just kids in a relationship, and they're just still figuring stuff out. That's why they're so awkward. No, I don't think that's it. I think it's because the script has failed them at a level of having those characters be together, and the fact that the actors really didn't have any chemistry with each other, like at all, and it shows. So yeah, small Harry Potter rant part 2 over. What movie is this? Don't Worry, Darling. This looks interesting. Psychological thriller / horror. I'm gonna look up more about this. Directed by Olivia Wilde. I don't think I've seen a movie that she's directed. All right, the premise. An unhappy housewife in the 1950s discovers a disturbing truth while her loving husband hides a dark secret. That's the vaguest shit I've ever read in my life. I can't gauge anything from that. The only thing I can tell from it is that it's from the 1950s and the two characters have like secrets or whatever, or like the one character. It's got Florence Pugh and Harry Styles in it. Interesting. I like Florence Pugh. I think she's good, even though I wasn't the hugest fan of Midsommar. I think that she's a good actress, and I think her performance in that movie was really kind of carried the movie, honestly, if I'm being real. Harry Styles, the only movie I saw him in is Dunkirk, and Dunkirk wasn't really meant to be a movie that really showed like people's acting chops. It was more meant to be a movie that showed the situations and sort of the intricacies and the perilous nature of war. And so I'm really curious as to how he'll be as an actor. So yeah, I'll probably catch that movie some point. I don't know when, but it's just pretty intriguing to me. Morbius, another superhero movie. This time, the Sony Marvel universe. The same people that did Venom. Venom, gotta go get him. Ain't gonna know what hit him. I would sing it more, but I don't want to get copyright striked for producing the same exact sound. So forgive me if I don't go into a full ballad of Venom by Eminem. Okay, Morbius. Middle bus. With Jared Leto. Jared Leto is an interesting figure. He is somebody who has kind of made a name for himself for both the good and the bad. He is a really established actor, and he's a pretty decent actor too, who's been in really good movies such as Requiem for a Dream, and I'm sure like Dallas Buyers Club is good. I've heard it was. I haven't seen it. But essentially, he's sort of also made a name for himself as kind of a meme because he played the Suicide Squad Joker. And after that, I feel like is when people started to take him less seriously because, he was like, I'm a method actor and I do things that are so beyond the reaches of the human comprehension that allows me to get into the character that I need to be. And it's like, no, you sent like dead rats to your castmates as you were playing the Joker. Like, what? What are you talking about? So yeah, I doubt he did anything like that for this movie. It looks like he's just playing himself. It looks like he's in the most like comfortable like Jared Leto clothes ever in this movie, aside from when he's like playing a doctor. But even then, he's like he's still got his like long hair in like a ponytail, and I don't know. It's kind of like Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy was just himself in Venom, and I feel like Jared Leto is just going to be himself in Morbius. And it's just, honestly, it's like, how much money did they offer him? Because would he have done this if like he wasn't getting paid millions of dollars probably for it? I doubt it. I doubt that this was a movie that Jared Leto was like, I'm passionate about, and I want to make a good Morbius movie because I love the character of Morbius so much, and I want to bring justice to the character. It's like, that's probably not the case. Most of the time when people go into movies, they just want a paycheck. And there's a few exceptions, right? Like Ryan Reynolds. Obviously, Deadpool was like a dream character for him, so he's going to be Deadpool. Whether whether people wanted him to be Deadpool or not, and obviously people want him to be Deadpool because that's just kind of who he is. What is this movie? Bullet Train. Okay. David Leitch. I really like David Leitch as an action director. David Leitch did, speaking of Deadpool, he did the second Deadpool movie, and he also did Atomic Blonde. And I haven't seen those movies. I don't know how they are in terms of like quality of being good movies, I guess, as far as like having a story. But I know for a fact that David Leitch can do action because he pretty much co-directed the first John Wick movie, and that movie really set the bar high for action movies to come after it. And you can definitely tell that he has sort of embraced that kind of like long take, sort of wide shot angle of shooting action, which I'm super thankful for, because if that wasn't the case, we'd still get movies like Taken 3 where it takes 15 cuts to show a 13-second scene of Liam Neeson jumping over a fence. But I'm excited for this movie. I think obviously we'll have to wait for a trailer to come out to really like assess how this movie is going to perform, I guess, in terms of quality. But it's got like a stacked cast. It's got Brad Pitt, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Zazie Beetz, Michael Shannon, Sandra Bullock. I'm not super thrilled about, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see how she's in the movie. But it's essentially like an action movie that just takes place on this bullet train, obviously in reference to the title. And it's, it's David Leitch. I think he's going to do a decent job of it. I think he's going to really put his heart and soul in the action, at least. Whether or not the story's good is kind of a secondary thing, which is a weird thing to say about a movie, where the plot is usually the most important thing. But I feel like when it comes to action movies, as long as the action's decent, the story is just sort of an extra thing that can be that can elevate a movie to another level. Obviously, sometimes that's not exactly the case, and the story can sort of detract from it. Like, for example, Oldboy 2013. The action in that movie, and there's not a whole lot of it, but the action in it is like decent, right? But the story is just absolute dog shit. And it's like, you might be saying to yourself, but isn't it the same story that was the 2003 South Korean Oldboy? It's like, yes and no. They take weird creative liberties with it that just don't make any sense. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. Hopefully it's going to be good all around, but I can at least take comfort in knowing that the action is going to be good. All right, what else do we got? Avatar 2. There's not even like a promotional image of it. I think they released like one picture of the movie. Is like an on-set picture of like some dude chilling in a lake. I don't know what they were thinking with releasing that, but it's definitely not the most striking image as far as promoting your movie goes. I'm gonna look it up and just make sure. Avatar. It was like this weird. I'm not finding it right now, but it was essentially like this weird still from a scene in the movie where like a character's just sitting in like a body of water or like a river or something, and they have this weird tarp thing over them. It doesn't look like it's either Zoe Saldana or Sam Worthington or whatever, Sam Washington, whatever his name is. I don't care. But yeah, Avatar. Seeing the first movie, 2008, I was a kid. I was like 13 or whatever. Yeah, I was 13. The movie itself was impressive visually, of course. It came out. My voice is just straight dying, so you're just gonna have to deal with this. I'm so sorry. But the movie came out, and of course it's impressive visually, but the story is just kind of like a standard generic this guy gets entrenched in the culture of the aliens, and then the aliens are attacked by the humans, and then the guy is torn between protecting the humans and protecting the aliens, and it's this blah blah blah, and there's betrayal and sort of like this sacrifice thing, like, oh, this character's dying and there's a big deal and there's this big tree and there's this big animal that they plug their ponytails into, but then they also plug their ponytails into each other so they can make love, and it's got weird implications. So what I'm really trying to say is I'm looking forward to this movie. I don't know. See, here's the thing, right? They're very lucky that Zoe Saldana and Sam Worthington are like beautiful people, because if they were like in their 40s when the first Avatar came out, they'd be in their near 60s when this sequel came out. And it's just, there's so much time that has passed already. It was supposed to come out last year, I think, but obviously with COVID and James Cameron wanting to break box office records every time he takes a sneeze, it's inevitable that it would have been delayed, right? But it's been such a long time between sequels, and I know time in between sequels can work. I mean, look at Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049, but it's still a I don't know. I feel like people have kind of like gone past Avatar. Like, what's going to be the appeal of Avatar 2? Is James Cameron going to like, is he going to like produce smells in the movie? Like, can you actually smell things? Is it going to be like a 4D experience where they spray your face with like the ponytail juice or whatever? I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be like, but I feel like it's got to be some sort of gimmick thing that he's going to want to do. And he's making like 4 of them. He's making like Avatars 2, 3, 4, and 5. Maybe 6, I don't know. He's making like a bunch of them, and he's got to have like so much faith in the story that he's making and everything, and I feel like it has to be better than the first one, right? In order to be successful, it has to be better. Otherwise, this is just going to be a big embarrassment, and I mean, hopefully that's not the case. I like to see movies, work and pay off and actually reach the goals that they were trying to reach, but at the same time, I'm not optimistic. There's the word. I'm not optimistic about where it's going. There are my final thoughts on Avatar 2, at least until the movie comes out. What's this one? Nope is a horror movie, written, directed, and produced by Jordan Peele. Okay, so it's kind of like in that same vein as Get Out, Us. I haven't seen either of those movies, admittedly. Also has Daniel Kaluuya in it, and Steven Yeun. Okay. So there's no premise really. There's just a poster with a cloud that has like a cord connected to it that's over like this neighborhood that's glowing in like the middle of the night in like this valley sort of thing. Poster's kind of cool. I don't know. Like it's striking for sure, and it makes you ask like what the hell is going on in this movie, and I think that's like a big appeal. A big appeal. Get it? A Jordan Peele. Get a big appeal. A big peen. Big peen. Big a peen. Big Jordan peen. Jordan's got a big peen. Peen peel. Key and peel. Peen. Key and peen peel. I think this movie's this movie's going to come out, right? And the trailer's going to drop, and people are going to be hyped for it, and then people are going to go see it, and I'm very curious as to where it's going to go. People love Get Out. I know people are divisive on Us. I know I need to watch those movies still, and once I do, I'll probably feel comfortable enough to watch Nope. What is this? Hocus Pocus 2? I don't care about Hocus Pocus or anything. Untitled David O. Russell project with Michael B. Jordan and Christian Bale. It has its own Wikipedia page, even though it's an untitled project. What? Oh my! What? It's got all these people in it. It's got Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, John David Washington, Rami Malek, Zoe Saldana, Robert De Niro. Name. Like every single name on this is a huge name. Taylor Swift is like the last person. Premise: a doctor and a lawyer form an unlikely partnership. That's it. That's the premise. What is this movie called? Okay, so it's a David O. Russell movie. It doesn't have a title, obviously, but it sounds interesting. I don't know. Like, there's not much to say about it. There's like, other than the cast and like the bare bones premise, there's like really nothing about it. All right, next one. This one's got Ryan Reynolds on the picture. The Adam Project. It's got Ryan Reynolds, Jennifer Garner, Zoe Saldana. Calling it right now, it's probably going to get like a 53% on Rotten Tomatoes. The premise: a man travels back in time to get help from his younger self to confront their late father. Yeah, no, that sounds like it could be pretty schlocky, especially if you got Ryan Reynolds in it. Like, I don't know. Are they going to go for the comedy aspect like they did for Free Guy, or are they going to actually have a serious movie where Ryan Reynolds has to play a character that's not Deadpool? I'm very curious as to how they're going to approach that. Mark Ruffalo being in it kind of gives it some sort of optimism of not being a generic Ryan Reynolds comedy, but we'll just have to see. We'll see when the trailer gets out. We'll know for sure. If it's not already out yet, I have no idea. I really don't care that much about it. Black Adam with The Rock. Yep. Next one. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They're making another one of that. Okay. That's cool, I guess. I'm not super into like slasher horror movies like that. Like, I'm not too big on Friday the 13th or Freddy Krueger or whatever. Michael Myers. I'm so scared of Mike Myers. Shrek is terrifying. The Flash. I heard that The Flash is going to undo all of the Snyderverse, so that's interesting. I guess we'll see what happens there. This movie, Knives Out 2. Okay, here we go. We're getting into the nitty gritty of it now. So obviously there's no premise. It's just going to be a murder mystery, I'm sure, like the last one. But Daniel Craig is coming back. It's got Dave Bautista, Ed Norton, Leslie Odom Jr., Kate Hudson, Ethan Hawke. Interesting. Lakeith Stanfield isn't coming back. I thought that they were partners in the original, or maybe Lakeith Stanfield was just like a detective for like that area, and Daniel Craig was like, "Oh, I'm gonna see what this is about." Or no, sorry, he wasn't British in the movie. He's like, "I'm gonna see what this is about," because he was like a Southern, like Colonel Sanders type dude for some reason. I mean, it worked. It worked in the movie. He was pretty convincing, but it was still kind of silly. Let's see. So there's, what is this? Orphan. They're making a sequel to Orphan. Oh my gosh. What? Are you serious? Why would they make a sequel to this movie? What? I am so curious. Okay. So if you don't know what the first Orphan movie was, essentially Orphan was like a movie about like this little girl who gets adopted by a family, and she like, I'm going to spoil the first Orphan, so I'm sorry, but it's essentially about like this little girl who like, she looks like a little girl, but she isn't a little girl. And so it's like really a 30-year-old in like a little girl's body, and she's a psychopath and she is a murderer and likes to kill people. And it's such a goofy I feel like the first movie didn't even do that well, right? Like, okay. Budget is $20 million. It made $78.8 million, which is still a good number, but it's not like, you know, it's not like Paranormal Activity number, which was raking in like $300 million or whatever. That's weird. Produced by Leonardo DiCaprio. That's odd. Received mixed reviews. Praised the dark humor, but criticized the screenplay. Yeah, if it's something that like, I don't know, like, is it even directed by the original guy? No, it's directed by some other person. I don't know. That looks that looks interesting to me. Let's see here. The Three Diablos. What is this? Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. They're making a Puss in Boots movie again? Okay. That just seems pretty whatever. I don't know. Like, I saw Shrek the Third. I haven't seen Shrek Forever After, but Shrek the Third was not good. So I really don't care to revisit the Shrek universe anytime soon, especially when it's a spin-off. The Lost City. This movie looks bad. Oh my god. This movie. Okay, so it's got Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, and the poster is like one of the worst posters I've seen. It's just them standing in like this jungle, and like she's in like this torn up dress holding her heels, and he's got like this the like airplane neck cushion thing around him while he's pulling like a luggage bag, and it looks like they're just photoshopped in, which of course they definitely are, but it's all right. What's the premise? A reclusive romance novelist on a book tour with her cover model gets swept up in a kidnapping attempt that lands them both in a cutthroat jungle adventure. This movie's gonna be so stupid. I can guarantee it. It's gonna be such dog shit. Sonic 2. You know, I'm really. It's like the same sentiment as the Mario movie, right? And I saw the first Sonic movie, and it's fine. You know, it's a kid's video game movie, whatever. So this one's probably going to be around the same quality, I'm assuming. You know, it was pretty cool how they just released the first design of the character and everybody just shit on it, so they had to like go back and fix it. So yeah, I'm curious as to how this movie's gonna be. Obviously, I'm gonna go see it, being like a kind of a Sonic fan growing up as a kid. Just sort of being interested in that whole thing. And of course, Jim Carrey, I think, is gonna be charismatic and witty and funny like he was in the first movie. So that's pretty much a no-brainer there, bringing him back. And he's going to look more the part of Eggman from the games. And Idris Elba as Knuckles, of course, is the biggest Chad move ever. So Halloween Ends. Didn't that come out already? I thought it did. Oh, no, there was Halloween Kills. Okay. And then there's Halloween Ends. So it's like the Avengers Infinity War and Endgame of the Michael Myers universe. Scream, I don't really care about that. Already talked about the Northman. Death on the Nile. This one is the sequel to Murder on the Orient Express, which I didn't see. I heard it was boring. I don't have any plans anytime soon to watch it, but this movie specifically has me very curious because they feature in the poster pretty prominently Armie Hammer, who has, if you don't know, he's been in like tons of controversy recently for having like a cannibal fetish and like being abusive towards the women that he's been with. And it's just so funny watching the trailer how they just like cut around him. He's like barely in the trailer, yet he's like one of the top billed people in the movie. Obviously, like Gal Gadot is like the star, and then you've got Kenneth Branagh, who's like the main guy. You know, he's the detective. So it's just funny to me how they just tried to like hide him in the trailer because everybody knows that he's kind of a weird, creepy, abusive person. I don't know. This is funny to me. I feel like it's gonna flop. Minions: The Rise of Gru. I don't need to comment on that. Hotel Transylvania. I don't need to comment on that. Legally Blonde 3. They're making a third one of that. It's a long-awaited sequel, I guess. I mean, was anyone waiting for that one? Let's be honest. Moonfall looks like a standard disaster apocalypse movie. kind of like Greenland or Geostorm, just kind of in that same vein. It's gonna be bad, I'm sure. What's this one? The Gray Man with Chris Evans, directed by the Russo brothers. Okay. I feel like people just kind of forgot about that movie that they did after Infinity War, or not Infinity War, Endgame. It was like this action cop movie with Chadwick Boseman, 21 Bridges. And people just kind of the movie just didn't exist after it came out. Like, I remember seeing previews for it constantly at the movies, and then it came out and nobody talked about it. People talked more about the Five Bloods that Chadwick Boseman was in rather than 21 Bridges. Haven't seen that yet, so hopefully I'll check it out this year, if not soon. Let's see here. Scrolling back down. We've got, what is this? Blonde. Oh, it looks like a Marilyn Monroe thing. Ana de Armas. Interesting. I really like Ana de Armas as an actress. I thought she was the best part of Knives Out, or one of the best parts at least. Thought she was really good in that. Yeah, I don't know. Marilyn Monroe movie. Hopefully it's good, I guess. The 355. What is this? Action thriller. A CIA agent teams up with other international agents to recover a top secret weapon. Well, that sounds generic as hell. It's got a mostly female cast, looks like. So yeah, I don't know. Could be good, could be bad, could be in between, all that. Top Gun Maverick. That one I'm just curious as to how that's going to be, especially with Val Kilmer not being able to talk because of his throat cancer. Obviously, they're going to have to implement that into the story somehow, because they were really adamant about getting both Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer back for the sequel. And the movie's made, right? It's done. They've had trailers for it left and right. It's just kept getting delayed because of COVID. I think it was supposed to come out 2020. The movie's already done. They just need to put it out. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Ambulance with Jake Gyllenhaal looks kind of generic. Just sort of like this standard ambulance heist movie. Kind of like, looks like it's trying to be Speed, but even smaller for some reason. The Bad Guys. Oh, it's an animated movie. Okay, so it looks like an animated heist movie, kind of. Oh, it's written by Ethan Coen, which, if you don't know, Ethan Coen is, he does not have a good track record in Hollywood. He did Madagascar 2, Holmes and Watson. He directed that. So yeah, he doesn't have a great resume, so we'll see how that goes. I'm sure it'll be an inoffensive, animated, forgettable movie. Disenchanted. Oh, it's the sequel to that Enchanted movie, but it's Disenchanted. Isn't that also the title of like a Netflix show that's like animated by the same people that did Futurama and Simpsons? I feel like it is, but I could be wrong. Super Pets, DC League of Super Pets. I don't really care about that. The Man from Toronto. It's just got a picture of Woody Harrelson, but it's the picture from No Country for Old Men when his character's just sitting in a chair. Is there a connection? Is this like a weird sequel thing? No, because Man from Toronto is a story that came out in 1933. So I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea why they chose that image. It's weird. It's weird choice, Google. This one just says dog, and it's got Channing Tatum and a dog on the cover. Oh, it is just titled Dog. That's not a good title. Why would you just... Oh, my gosh. And what are you going to go see? Can I get 2 tickets for Dog, please? Just Dog. 2 tickets for Dog, please. Yes, sir. What do you have? I'll have a ticket for Dog. I'm gonna go see Dog with my dog, and Channing Tatum's gonna have his dog. It's gonna be Dog. Elvis with Timothy Chalamet. That looks. Wait, is it Timothy Chalamet or is it somebody else? Tom Hanks. Who's playing Elvis? Austin Butler. Okay. Why did they have Timothy Chalamet in the picture? I don't understand. This Google thing is falling apart. Let me just tell you right now. Babylon. I've seen posters for this, but I don't really know what it's about. It's a drama historical film by Damien Chazelle. Okay. Tobey Maguire's in it, so that's intriguing. Haven't seen Toby in a big movie like that in a while. Jackass Forever. Obviously, it's going to be more Jackass, but without Bam Margera because he had a meltdown and was threatening the producers and the cast members and everything, and obviously you can't have that. It's going to be a little weird without Bam Margera because he was such a big part of the other movies, but I don't know. This will probably be like the last Jackass movie because the guys are like almost 50 and they're still like doing this shit. Like, come on. Johnny Knoxville's getting gray. Operation Fortune. Is this a Guy Ritchie movie? It is a Guy Ritchie movie. Okay, the full title is Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre. Guerre? I apologize if I'm butchering that pronunciation. Jason Statham, Hugh Grant, Aubrey Plaza. Yeah, I don't know. The poster doesn't look good. So there's my thoughts on those. And yeah, that's essentially the end of the Google search results for 2022 movies. Hopefully you gauged something from that, and let me know if you share my thoughts on this sort of thing. I'm curious to hear from you. Leave a comment. For God's sake, leave a comment in the YouTube comments or something. Obviously, you can't do it on Spotify, but go to YouTube, leave a comment. Tell me that you fed your kids to the hyenas in the field, and that you're a big fan of the podcast. And I will be super grateful for anything that you leave, really anything. If you want to donate, you can just find me, give me money directly. That's cool. Lord knows I need it. Lord knows I need the extra cash that I can scrounge up. I'm tired of going to Craig's Cruisers when it's closed during the winter and scraping the bottom of like the change dispenser from the games when they like return the change back for you. I'm tired of doing that. So just please anything. If you have food, I'll take food. I'm very hungry. I actually am really hungry right now. I'm hankering some pizza. I might get some Domino's or something. It's kind of crappy out, and Domino's is like right down the road. I don't want to travel too far for food, but do I want to travel at all is the question. Like they say 90% of accidents happen when you're a mile away from home. I don't know who they is, and I could just be pulling this number out of my ass, but feel like I've heard that same sentiment before. So I don't know. We'll see. The longer that I'm close to home, the more I could be in an accident. Who knows? Well, we could all be in an accident. We could all die at any moment. It's such a perilous thing. This thread of life, this sort of tightrope that we walk every time we leave the house. It's just kind of always there. The chance to get hit by a car or get shot or just anything happening to you is just there, drowning. Okay, so all right, so I went through that. I figured if I had enough time, which I definitely still do, I'd go through the IMDb top 250 list, which has some noteworthy things in there. There are things, and I've looked this over before, right? I looked it over with somebody at work who also likes to talk about movies with me. Shout out to Drew. Drew, if you're listening, you're a real homie, and you're beautiful, and I can't get enough of seeing your cute little face. No homo. But anyway, he and I went over the top 250 together, and it is interesting what is on here. So number 1 is Shawshank Redemption, right? That's the standard one. But what is number 250? Well, number 250 is Drishyam 2, which I don't know what that is. So I'm just going to go to the next one that I know. 248 is The Princess Bride, and interesting. So I'm curious as to like what makes the criteria for the top 250, because it's based on the overall rating. Like the bottom ones are like all 8s, like 8.0, and of course like the top ones are like Shawshank Redemption sitting at a 9.2, The Godfather 9.1, Godfather Part 2 is a straight 9, and so is The Dark Knight at number 4, which The Dark Knight being number 4 is really interesting to me. Not that it's a bad movie at all, I just didn't expect it to be number 4. 12 Angry Men, Schindler's List, I haven't seen those yet. Pulp Fiction at number 8 isn't too surprising. That's kind of the movie that put Tarantino on the map, and I did watch it this past year, and it is good. Like it is quite good, and I can see why people regard it as like this really like, I don't know, cult movie, I guess you could say, but it's not really a cult movie because it's so popular. I don't know. People have high regards for it, is all I'm saying. The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, I haven't seen. Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Rings, the first Lord of the Rings is number 10, which I kind of expected the third movie to be higher, I guess, because when you think of the overall Lord of the Rings trilogy, you really think of Return of the King, I feel like. And not that you don't think of The Fellowship of the Ring, it's just I feel like Return of the King is so much more prevalent in people's minds, and that's the one that they talk about quite a bit, because it's the one where, you know, everything gets wrapped up and the story's done and the characters have endings that are fitting and sort of fit the overall narrative. Anyway, moving on. Number 11, Fight Club. I'm not too surprised. It's kind of like the student, you know, the movie, the film student answer, I guess you could say. Forrest Gump at number 12. It's kind of interesting. I'm really surprised at number 13 being Inception, because that's the first I guess Dark Knight, but I guess that's the first Nolan movie that's not a Batman movie to pop up on the list. And I feel like when people talk about Christopher Nolan, of course they talk about Inception, but then, you know, they talk about other movies. Like, people love Interstellar, and I don't know. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense looking back at it, but then we got Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, not too surprising. Star Wars Episode 5. Spider-Man No Way Home is still sitting at number 16. People love that movie. And this definitely makes me think that these ratings encompass the audience score, because I feel like if it was just the critics' scores, No Way Home wouldn't be nearly as high on the list. It might not even be on the list, but it leads me to believe that it also accounts for the audience as a whole. Let's see, The Matrix, number 17. There's a lot of like big franchise movies in here. I mean, you've got The Dark Knight, you've got Spider-Man, you've got Matrix, Lord of the Rings, and it makes sense to me. I just feel like critics by themselves are so much more picky when it comes to having these sorts of lists. And I guess IMDb is like a popular enough platform to where, like, you know, it's not too surprising that it's like these big major blockbuster franchises that are like towards the top of the list. But it just, I don't know, when you've got things like that, and then you've got things like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest at number 19, it leads me to believe that there's sort of like a weird uneven pattern going on here. Like there's, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what the criteria is still, and I'm just commentating by myself. But Seven Samurai, haven't seen. Seven, I know I need to see it. Haven't seen it. Silence of the Lambs, number 22. Yeah, that fits. It's pretty iconic. Anthony Hopkins. It's pretty effectively creepy psychological thriller movie about serial killers. Did a really good job. I'm going to keep going. Number 26, Saving Private Ryan. Again, makes sense to me. All right, there's Interstellar at number 28. And with the way that Inception is placed, I'm not surprised really at all by this placement. I think people generally like Inception more, although I think I personally know people who like Interstellar more. Spirited Away, number 29. Nice to see a Studio Ghibli movie on here. Parasite made it to number 31, with Leon the Professional right behind it, number 32. Really like both those movies. Obviously, I think Parasite's better. It's kind of weird to me that Leon is so close to Parasite in that regard. Honestly, I feel like Parasite should be a little bit higher. That's just my opinion. Back to the Future, Terminator. Still need to see those. I know it's a movie sin that I haven't. Whiplash, number 43. Makes sense that it's at the higher portion of this overall list. Whiplash is great. It's definitely my favorite J.K. Simmons movie because he just yells the whole time and it's awesome. It really just, I don't know, it makes you feel like you're getting abused by him. It's great. Gladiator, number 44. I should rewatch that. I'm glad to see The Untouchables on here because it is a French film. That was one of the first foreign movies that I saw. I actually watched it at community college when I took a film class. And we watched it in class, and it was like one of the best movies that we watched in that entire semester. I should recommend it for the podcast one of these days because it is just a good, touching story, and it's based on a true story. And they do like take creative liberties with the characters in it. I won't get into too much of the details because it's like a whole thing in of itself. But I'm glad to see it on this list at number 47. They did remake it for the U.S. with Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston, and it just makes me like, why? It's like the same with Old Boy, right? There's no need to remake these movies for American audiences, especially when the movies aren't even that old. Like, I could understand if this movie came out in like 1960 and you wanted to remake it for an American audience who hasn't seen it yet, because, you know, I feel like it's a little more understandable for people to not watch movies that came out 50, 60 years ago than it is for people to not watch movies because they're foreign. Like, just because they're a foreign movie doesn't mean you need to translate it to an English story or an American story. It's just put subtitles on, or at the very least, and this is a last resort thing, put on like a dubbed version of it. Like, there are these really good stories that I feel like kind of get bastardized because people go, oh, wouldn't this be so cool if like they were American characters instead of like South Korean characters? And it's like, no. If you want that same experience, just watch the original movie, for God's sake. Small rant over. The Prestige, number 48, my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. Obviously, I personally would have liked to see this higher. It makes sense that that Inception would be above it, but Interstellar, I'm not so sure about. That's just my viewpoint. Alien, I saw that for the first time this past year, and I really liked it. Makes sense why it's on here. Kind of established itself as like the first to really embrace that sort of sci-fi horror where there's like deeper implications of like space travel, and I just love the mystery behind it, this sort of like world building, the implied world building that it has without like overly showing you everything. It has a good sense of mystery to it. So that's a good placement. 53. 55, Memento. Memento, I only watched once in high school, and I really didn't appreciate it for what it was at the time, because, I was just some dumbass high school kid who was like, "Oh, I don't care about the nuances of film. I just want to like skateboard and go out into the field with the hyenas," just some dumb shit like that. But I need to rewatch it because I know that people love this movie, and I'm not surprised at all that it's at number 55. And it was one of like the first movies to really put Christopher Nolan on the map, and I'm very curious to revisit it and compare it to his other movies, because I think it's at like my number 5 spot for Chris Nolan movies that I've seen in terms of like, which movies I like more. So yeah, I'll have to rewatch it and see if that like changes at all. 56, Raiders of the Lost Ark, not too surprising. Django at number 58, there he is. Personally, I would have liked to see this a little higher, but I'm just glad that it's on the list at all. I feel like when people talk about Quentin Tarantino, they usually talk about either Pulp Fiction or recently it's been Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I also liked. But Django is by far my favorite Tarantino movie. I think that it has that appeal to it where like it's one of those movies where if you're scrolling through TV, right? And I don't usually do this at home at all because we don't have cable, but my parents, they'll scroll through TV all the time. And when Django is playing, I always feel like we're obligated to put it on and just we get sucked into it immediately. At least I get sucked into it immediately. And it's just amazing how much I like this movie. Yeah, it's by far my favorite Tarantino, and I'm glad it's just here at all. Wall-E, number 62, I need to rewatch that. Watched it many years ago, back when it first came out. Really liked it, but I don't remember too much from it. I just remember the people in space were all really fat and lazy. Infinity War, number 63. I think that it is appropriate that Infinity War is higher on this list than Endgame. And a lot of people really like Endgame more than Infinity War. I think Infinity War, to me, is the better movie because it really kind of set the tone for Marvel at the time to where, like, it was like the first one to come along and shake things up and be like, what if, what if the heroes don't win? And it's sort of like that notion of, like flipping the concept of a superhero movie on its head, and it's like this build up to something huge, and you really get to like see Thanos as a character. And I know he's been memed to death ever since these movies came out, but there's a reason why he's got such a big legacy, is because he was a big character and he made an impact on the MCU, an impact that no other villain really had made before, and the performance was good. And I just think that overall it's a better movie. The Shining, number 65, makes sense why that's there. I'm really surprised that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is on here. I don't know. For being an animated movie that's not Pixar or Disney, it's just really pleasant to see that it's on here, and I'm glad it's on here. I'm just really surprised by it. Like I said, that movie was really good. Princess Mononoke, I need to finish that. I need to watch the whole thing. I unfortunately only watched like the last half of it because somebody turned it on and I was in like another room while like the first half was playing or something, and so I missed it. But I wanna watch the rest of it because it looks really good, from what I've seen. Old Boy 2003 at number 69. Nice. Again, one of the best foreign films I've seen. Just an overall really good tragic movie. Tragic revenge story, I should say. And there's so much to it, and there's so many nuances, and the performances are great, and the way that it's shot and the music is so well put together and so cohesive, and it comes together super nicely. And I'm glad it's on this list. Good to see it. You like to see it. Joker, number 70. Yeah, makes sense. it came out, it was a huge surprise. I think everybody expected it to sort of flop and kind of get forgotten about, but especially since it was like a rated R kind of risk for a DC movie at the time, because all the movies that were coming out were essentially like DC Marvel movies almost, that were PG-13 and everybody could go see them. But this movie came out and I think it really surprised a lot of people, and it definitely made people kind of excited to talk about DC movies again. You know, you've got this, and then you've got the Batman movie coming out, and I know it's not like the same DCEU that the Snyderverse is a part of or whatever, but it's just cool to know that studios can make sort of one-offs and separate storyline movies that don't have to be a part of the universe and can be successful at it. You know, you can have multiple Batman movies that are really good and tell like different stories and have different actors in it. You know, you don't have to stick to one specific instance of a character and have them be part of a universe in order for it to be good. You can take those risks, and if it works, then great. It's a great standalone movie. And if it doesn't, then cool. It doesn't like bring down a whole series of films. It's a win-win, as they say. Coco I still need to see, number 72. 73, The Dark Knight Rises, I still need to see, even though I heard it's not as good as The Dark Knight, and this list definitely shows that. Endgame is at number 76. Again, I liked Infinity War better, so it makes sense that it's lower on the list. I think it's in an appropriate spot for what this list is. Toy Story at 81. I'm kind of surprised it's as low as it is. I expected like Pixar's like first breakthrough movie to be a little bit higher, but I guess we can't all expect the unexpected. I don't know. American Beauty 83. Good movie. I feel like it'd be weird to rewatch. Kevin Spacey. 84, Braveheart. Really kind of surprised it's as high as it is. I actually didn't expect it to be on here at all because I thought the movie was good. I thought it was decent. I thought it was a fine sort of war movie, I guess you could say. If you hear someone dying in the background, it's just my roommate. But it's essentially like the most historically inaccurate movie ever. And I know it kind of got a lot of heat for that, but I guess people really like it enough to kind of give that aspect of it a pass. I don't know. I'm just kind of surprised it's on here, honestly. Inglourious Bastards, 85, makes sense. Good Will Hunting, kind of surprised it's not higher at number 87. 2001 at 89. Space Odyssey. I know I still need to see it. There's a lot of movies that I need to see that I just haven't yet. Haven't gotten around to it. That's kind of the goal of me watching a bunch of movies more and having this podcast, is to open myself up to more of what's out there and what I know is essential viewing. And I feel like 2001 is one of those essential movies that I just haven't gotten around to yet. Reservoir Dogs, 91. Yeah, it makes sense. It's kind of the movie that put Tarantino on the map. It was his first movie, I think. And yeah, really good for what it is. It's a bottle movie about dudes who are trying to figure out how to get out of a sticky post-heist situation. Let's see. Citizen Kane, 95. Again, one of those movies that I know I need to see. I am super happy that The Hunt is even on this list. The Hunt, not the one that came out a couple years ago. That's like the action movie with like politics in it. I'm talking about the 2012 Hunt with Mads Mikkelsen. It's a Danish film directed by Thomas Vinterberg. My favorite foreign film by far. For those of you who don't know, the story is about a kindergarten teacher played by Mads Mikkelsen who is falsely accused of doing inappropriate things with his student. And essentially the movie is about forced isolation and a character trying to still live his life while he's in a small town where everybody hates him for something that he didn't do. And it is a hard movie to watch, and it's frustrating to watch, especially given the circumstances of the movie and Mads Mikkelsen's point of view, but it's also really good. And I think that the overall story leads up to something beautiful and poignant, nuanced. There we go. I'll just use that word instead. And I think that overall, it's just a fantastic film. So I'm pleasantly surprised to see it on here. Would have liked to seen it a little higher, maybe in like the 50s range, but can't have everything in life. 97, Requiem for a Dream, makes sense. Number 100, Eternal Sunshine, glad to see that. Not my favorite Charlie Kaufman, but definitely up there. Let's see. Taxi Driver at number 112. Yeah, makes sense. Kind of a divisive movie in some circles. Again, it's kind of like that film student movie where like it wouldn't be surprising if they had like a poster of it in their room. But it is a good film, and I think that the character of Travis Bickle is very interesting and portrayed very well by Robert De Niro. What's very interesting to me is that he's supposed to play a 26-year-old, and I definitely look younger than Robert De Niro does in this movie. But I think he was 30 at the time of filming. Let's see, number 113, A Clockwork Orange, I still need to see. 116, Scarface, kind of surprised that's on there. Number 118, 1917. Yeah, really like that movie. I'm glad to see it. Super good theater experience, I would say. So I'm glad I went and I saw that when it was out in theaters and not on DVD. Obviously, it wouldn't be a bad view at home, but I think it's better in the theater. Number 122, Toy Story 3. I'm kind of surprised about that. I think, and this might just be nostalgia talking, but I think I really like Toy Story 1 and 2. Toy Story 3 was good for what it was. I thought it was too short. I thought it could have benefited from being a little longer and exploring that sort of environment a little bit more that they were in, which I'm not going to spoil, but yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good. Definitely not my favorite Pixar movie at all. Number 125, Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade. Weird that that's not higher. I'll just say that right now. Number 130, Die Hard. Yep. Die Hard. Yeah, that seems appropriate for that spot. All right, I'm gonna scroll down a little bit more, kind of get going. Number 142, Wolf of Wall Street. Haven't seen it. There Will Be Blood. I wish this was higher. I really do. I really like There Will Be Blood. Definitely my favorite Daniel Day-Lewis movie. For sure my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Really good character study. Really good performance. Obviously, you're guaranteed to get that with Daniel Day-Lewis. And Paul Dano's good in it, too. This is one of the movies that Paul Dano gets the shit kicked out of him. So if you like to see that, then definitely check that out. I think it's still on Netflix if you have a Netflix account. A Beautiful Mind at number 149. I need to rewatch that. I saw it in high school, and it just, I don't know, kind of seemed like the standard biopic based on a true story type movie about this guy who's really smart, but he's also got schizophrenia. Yeah, very just kind of standard, but I don't know. Maybe rewatching it, I'll appreciate it a little bit more. 154, Shutter Island. Again, need to rewatch that one. Although I think I like that movie more than A Beautiful Mind, for sure. So I would have liked to see that higher. 157, No Country for Old Men. Yeah, that, not too surprising that it's lower on the list. definitely would have liked to see it up more. Really liked that movie when it came out. I know a lot of people kind of have issue with the ending of it, I think, but I personally thought it was appropriate for what the movie was. Really good movie that has like no music in it at all, and it kind of adds to the tension of things. The Thing at 161, I watched this for the first time a few days ago, and obviously I was preparing for the next episode of the podcast, but the next episode is this episode. I'm not talking about The Thing too much in this one, but I just will say that when this movie first came out, not many people liked it. People were upset at the fact that it's kind of bleak, and they didn't like the fact that it was as gory and as violent as it was. And it is a pretty gory, violent movie. But as time has passed, it has been a lot kinder to it, and people have sort of retroactively looked at it as like one of the best movies, one of the best like horror sci-fi movies to come out. Definitely one of the best John Carpenter films. So it's cool that it has like that cult following now, and kind of has that sort of like retroactive recognition of being a good movie when it definitely didn't get that at the time. The Sixth Sense, I need to see. I know. 167, Jurassic Park, not too surprising. Seems like an appropriate spot. 171, V for Vendetta. That is one of those movies that has aged better as time has gone on, I think. I feel like at the time when it came out, people weren't too keen on it. They were like, what the hell is this weird movie with these anonymous masks that is based off a obscure comic book? And it really didn't like connect with people at the time. Kind of like The Thing. But as time has gone on, and as the world has kind of like morphed into more and more of a certain state, I feel like people have watched this movie and sort of recognized the messages that it was trying to convey. And it is definitely applicable to current situations. And it's one of those movies that has stood the test of time because the message is so relevant to our current situation. So yeah, it's cool that it's on here. Kind of surprising that it's on here, honestly. Makes sense that it's a little bit lower, though, on this overall list. 172, Blade Runner. Surprised that that's not higher. Came out the same year as The Thing. Again, though, it really wasn't too successful when it first came out. It sort of like developed this cult following, and people really sort of appreciated it much later than when it was first released. Very much echoing the sentiment of The Thing. Trainspotting, number 173. It seems appropriate in that spot, and I agree with where it's at. I think the movie that people compare it to the most is Requiem for a Dream, and I think that's a pretty fair comparison. Trainspotting is definitely sort of a black comedy drama movie, whereas Requiem for a Dream is just a straight drama. It is almost also kind of like a horror thriller in some ways. And the movies definitely have these different tones, but they touch on the same subject matter, which is drug abuse. And I think that Requiem for a Dream commits so much to the dramatic sort of dire implications of drug use and shoves it so much in your face that I think it is overall the better movie for it. And I'm not saying that Trainspotting is a bad movie by any means. I think it's very effective in the way it portrays drug abuse and the situations that these characters find themselves in. And I definitely think the characters themselves have a little bit more nuance to them than Requiem for a Dream. But also, it kind of feels a little muddied at times, sort of doesn't really know what it wants to be. And the story, I feel like, just kind of pitters into something that becomes a little too ambiguous towards the end. Not spoiling anything, but I don't know. I like the definitiveness. I like the definitiveness of Requiem for a Dream compared to Trainspotting. That's my viewpoint. Inside Out at number 174. Not too surprised it's on here. I liked it when it came out. Would benefit from a rewatch. Finding Nemo 177. I'm surprised that that's not higher. I feel like people like that movie more than what this list indicates. 179 Kill Bill, need to see it still. 184 Dune 2021, Denis Villeneuve. Yeah, that makes sense. It's at a 8.1, so it made the list at 184. Yeah, I like the movie. I thought it was really good. I'm very excited for the second one because I'm curious as to where the story will go. And I read the book, so I know where the story is going. But it's intriguing as to how they'll portray it. And they portrayed the first half of the book in the first movie very well. And it was kind of an uncertain thing whether or not a second one would come out because it was very dependent on the financial situation of it and sort of the success of the movie. And it's being a big budget sci-fi movie, it was kind of a big risk, kind of like how Blade Runner 2049 was, which was also by Villeneuve. And so it was kind of up in the air whether or not it would get a sequel. And I'm glad it is, because the movie by itself, if it just left off where it left off, it would be such a bummer. 187 Prisoners, would have loved to see that way higher. I think it should be I think that one should be top 50 at least. Grand Budapest, same thing. I think that should be way higher than it is. I think it's Wes Anderson's best movie. It's definitely my favorite Wes Anderson movie. Aside from Darjeeling Limited, I really like that one too. Let's see. Catch Me If You Can at number 197. Makes sense. Seems like a good spot for it. Gone Girl 201. I need to rewatch that. I watched it when it first came out and I didn't like it. But then again, this was at a time when I really didn't think about movies the way that I think about them now. This was when movies that have complicated characters and characters that have gray morals really didn't appeal to me. You know, I was very much like the good guy's got to be a good guy, sort of thing. So it's it would benefit from a rewatch for sure. 203 Hacksaw Ridge, makes sense. Movie was pretty successful when it came out. Seems like an appropriate spot for it. Kind of surprised it's on the list at all, to be honest with you, but it makes sense that it's a little lower compared to all these other movies. Big Lebowski 209. Seems like a good spot for it. I saw that recently. We talked about it on the podcast in our last episode, and I think that is very appropriate. How to Train Your Dragon, saw that. Makes sense. Mad Max Fury Road at number 214. I think maybe a little bit higher on the list. I remember it being a super well done action movie, and obviously the plot in it is pretty bare bones. It's characters going from point A to point B, pretty much back to point A, but it is very well done. And I thought that the characters in it were a lot of fun to watch. Curious if they'll make another one, because they're supposed to make a Furiosa prequel or something with George Miller, but there's been a whole issue with the studio and George Miller and everything going on. So who knows if that's even still happening. 215 Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. HP's finally popped up. Yep, there he is. Yeah, makes sense. It's a little weird that it's higher than Stand By Me at 218, but I guess popularity sort of pushed that into its spot. 221, I'm surprised about Logan being as low as it is, and I haven't seen it, so I guess I can't assess for myself exactly, but everybody who I know has seen this movie really likes this movie, and it being this low on the list, I'm kind of surprised, just based on everything that I've heard about it. Monsters, Inc., number 230. Yeah, again, this might be nostalgia talking, but I would have liked to see it a little higher. All right, we're getting into 238, Into the Wild. I saw this movie and I really didn't connect with it that much. I didn't know that it was based on a true story until the very end of the movie when it told me it was based on a true story. And I really like the concept of it. And obviously when it's a true story, there's only like so much you can kind of adapt and change and sort of, I guess, for lack of a better word, fabricate for the sake of the story. But I feel like it kind of, and again, without spoiling anything, I feel like it's sort of anticlimactic in the way that it sort of concludes, I guess you could say. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. Thought the movie was fine. Not too surprised to see it on here. People really like it. All right, getting to the very last of the list. Yep, Princess Bride 248. The last two movies. 249 is Paris, Texas. I haven't seen that. And 250 is Drishyam 2, which I don't even... I don't even know what that is. So yeah, there's that. There are those movies. And that was the IMDb top 250. There's some stuff that I agree with, some stuff I disagree with, but overall seems to make sense. I definitely feel like it takes into account user ratings as well as critic ratings. And maybe it honestly might just take in user ratings. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not sure what their criteria is for making that specific list. And obviously the list is ever changing. I mean, you saw Spider-Man No Way Home on there, which came out a month ago, and obviously it's really fresh in people's minds, and it's getting a lot of good ratings, and people really love that movie. And I really like that movie too, and it makes sense why it's on the list now, but it's going to change. It's going to go down as time passes. Whether or not it stays on the list, we will see. Whether or not time is kind to it. So I have 10 more minutes, I guess, before I hit the 2-hour mark. I kind of want to make it to 2:05 just to see. What should I do before we end this sort of thing? I guess I can look up another list, so I'll do that real quick. All right. I'm going to go over this website's 15 best Keanu Reeves movies. And the website is called movieweb.com. And it says 15 best Keanu Reeves movies ranked. In a career spanning decades, the handsome movie star, I mean, that's definitely true, has proven that he can do it all, from modern Shakespeare to buddy comedies to action-packed blockbusters. I don't know if he can do Shakespeare. He was in a Shakespeare movie. I don't know if he can do Shakespeare. Let's be real. I love Keanu, but his his acting is sometimes shoddy, to say the least. So yeah, let's go over this list, and we'll just talk about it real quick. Number 15, Dangerous Liaisons. I don't know what that is, so I'm just gonna skip it. 14, River's Edge. I need to see that. It looks like it's just based on the picture that they look. He's kind of like dressed as like a punk kind of kid. He kind of looks like Ted from Bill and Ted a little bit. He's got the long hair and like kind of the vest jacket, but a little more kind of outsiders vibe, I guess. Parenthood, number 13. I haven't seen that. There's a lot of Keanu I haven't seen, admittedly, even though he's like my favorite person in the world. I need to brush up on my Keanu filmography, but he's been in a lot, so it's going to take some time. Okay. Number 12, Bill and Ted Face the Music. It's an interesting choice. I'm assuming they have the other Bill and Ted movies above it. It is interesting that they would put this on the list at all. I felt like it was all right. Like, it definitely doesn't compare to the first two Bill and Ted's in any way. And it's cool that they got the actors back and they're like older versions of themselves, and they like incorporate sort of like that sentiment into the story. But I thought the movie itself was just like, I don't think I ever need to rewatch it again. If I want to watch a Bill and Ted movie, I'll just watch the first two. 11, Under the Influence. I don't know what that is, so I'm going to skip it. 10, Always Be My Maybe. Wasn't he in that movie for like 10 minutes? I don't think he was in it for that long, was he? That's weird that you would put this on a list as Keanu Reeves movies when he's not even the main star. He's barely a supporting star. It's a cameo. He's playing himself. And I guess people really love that cameo, and they love seeing him play like a heightened version of himself. And I certainly would if I watched the movie. But yeah, it's just an interesting choice to me. Number 9, John Wick. Really, that needs to be higher. I'm sorry. That needs to be like at least number 3. Because not only is it a good Keanu Reeves performance where he gets to play a character that doesn't have much dialogue and solely relies on physicality and action, it's also what kind of put him back on the map. This movie, when it came out, I saw it in theaters, and I had only known Keanu Reeves as like, oh, he's the guy that was in The Matrix, and he hasn't been in much since. And then he was in John Wick, and he kind of went through a renaissance of sorts. And I feel like John Wick on this list being number 9 is kind of a disservice. Let's be real. Shame on you, movieweb.com. Number 8, Point Break. Again, really? This should be higher. Come on. 7, Much Ado. Okay. What the hell is this? Fucking list is bullshit, man. No, Much Ado About Nothing is at number 7, and John Wick and Point Break are at number 8. Are you for real right now? Like, are you being serious? This is fucked. This is super fucked. Come on. You got to put those higher. Much Ado, he's not good in a Shakespeare movie. I'm sorry. He can't. It's My Fair Lady. That's all it is. Like, he can only do like Surfer Bro and Menacing Hitman. That's basically his range of characters. That just makes little to no sense. Number 6, A Scanner Darkly. Yeah, need to see that. It's a very unique looking movie. It looks like a Joel Haver video. Let's see. Speed at number 5. Seems appropriate spot for it. I really like Speed. Obviously, I think John Wick and Point Break are better. But, yeah, Speed is good. I'm glad that that's in that spot. Something's Gotta Give at number 4. Maybe I need to see this movie because I have not seen it. But, I don't know. It's at number 4, I guess. But this list is kind of bullshit, so I'm not taking it too seriously. Number 3, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I'm assuming they have Bogus Journey at number 2 or 1. Bill and Ted is a really good adventure, like, kind of slapstick movie. Really kind of a classic, and it's got a lot of funny character moments between the two. 2, My Own Private Idaho. Looks interesting. I haven't seen it, but I don't know. Looks like I might need to watch it soon. Number 1, The Matrix, obviously. Okay. All right. We got to talk about something. The fact that neither Bogus Journey or Constantine is on this list is a sin. The fact that neither of those movies made this list is abhorrent. And I want to know who made this. Who made this list, and why are you so blind to all these other great movies that he's in? And I don't know. This list is so leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Leaves my kid in the field with the hyenas. All right. Games Radar, the 20 best Keanu Reeves movies. All right, let's go through that one real quick. See if they have a little bit better of a list going on. 20, Man of Tai Chi. I know that he directed that movie. And I know that he like plays the villain in it, so that's pretty interesting from Keanu's standpoint, I guess you could say. Johnny Mnemonic, I was kind of surprised to not see that on the last list. Sounds like a really goofy kind of cyberpunk movie. Haven't seen it. Constantine, number 18, there he is. Really like Constantine. I gave it like a 7 out of 10 because obviously I think it's not the best movie, but it's definitely a fun movie for sure. And it has a style that it sticks with and commits to the entire time. Plus, I really think Lucifer, the guy who plays him, Peter Stormare. I think Peter Stormare as Lucifer is excellent. River's Edge, number 17. The Devil's Advocate, number 16. I need to watch that. Al Pacino, Keanu Reeves. Seems pretty, I don't know, kind of tongue-in-cheek a little bit, but it's worth a watch, I'd say. Scanner Darkly, number 15. 14, Much Ado About Nothing. These people really like him in Shakespeare, and I don't know why. He just, yeah, it's like his least best role. Bill and Ted Face the Music at number 13. Parenthood at number 12. The Matrix Reloaded at number 11. I feel like there could have been better choices for that spot. The Matrix, like, I mean, if they would have went with Resurrections or, what was the third one? The third Matrix movie, Revolutions, I guess. If they went with either of those, it would have been worse. Obviously, I think Reloaded is better just for the action scene at the end. But kind of surprising it's on here at all. Speed at number 10. John Wick 3 at number 9. John Wick 2 at number 8. Okay. All right, we're getting into the ones that sort of make sense. Toy Story 4. Yeah, he was in that, wasn't he? He's like the stunt toy thing. Duke Kaboom. Very oh man. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, number 6. I'm surprised it's not in like the top 3. Bram Stoker's Dracula. Okay. They put that at number 5. Come on. You can't be serious. Come on. He's so goofy in that movie. John Wick, number 4. I'm at least happy that it's in the top 5. It being my Keanu movie, I'd say I would have liked it at number 2. Obviously, you're going to have Matrix at number 1, but, it's just with the territory, I guess. Point Break, number 3. That's a really good spot. People really like My Own Private Idaho. I guess I'm really going to have to watch that. And then Matrix, of course, at number 1. All right, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I think I've rambled on long enough. So I appreciate you guys listening. I'm sorry that it's just me. Again, with the situation at hand and like not being able to record in a different location. It's better this way, I think. So we'll definitely have our next episode with Mac back because it's fun to bounce things off of him. And I realize that this is a lot harder than it seems, just talking by yourself for 2 hours to nobody. Hopefully you listening is not a nobody, so that you can tell me that I'm wrong. But, next episode we'll have Mac back. We'll talk about The Thing, and we'll talk about Spider-Man No Way Home, as well as The Matrix Resurrections. And then we'll also go through the answers that people gave on the Facebook page for the post asking about their guilty pleasure movies. So I'm really looking forward to that. And the episode after that one, I guess I'll just tease a little bit. We will be going over our top MCU movie lists. So we'll get together, and we'll also have Gideon back on for that one too. But we'll essentially go over our lists for our top MCU movies. We'll talk about them, talk about the placement, talk about our rankings, and our sort of reasons why we place them where we place them. And I think you'll kind of get like a little teaser of that when Mac and I talk about No Way Home. I think that's going to be a pretty lively discussion. Just thank you for sitting through this, listening. I'm very hungry, and my voice is pretty much shot from talking for 2 hours straight. So hopefully next time I get a little reprieve, and I'll let Mac do a little more of the yammering. But you can find us on Spotify. You look up the Neon Crew Podcast, we'll be there. We're also on YouTube. We also have a website now, www.neoncrewpodcast.com. We also have a Facebook page, Instagram page, Twitter. Just search Neon Crew Podcast. You'll find us on all those. Matt controls the Twitter. He's been posting some memes on there lately, so check that out. I control the Facebook and Instagram, so I'll be putting some goodies on there. Also, we will eventually have merchandise. Haven't worked out the kinks of that yet. Need to get together with some people, work some stuff out, but I'm very excited to get those ideas on paper, and then get that paper on a shirt, and then get that shirt on your body, and then get your body out into the field with the hyenas. That last part is a lie. I don't want to do that. You would be in great danger. But hopefully, if you are in that situation, you'll have a nice shirt to protect you from those hyena attacks. All right. Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. I'm going to go get some pizza or something. Bye-bye.